What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, Terence Bud Crawford, who is considered to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Terence Bud Crawford responds to all of the call-outs by newly crowned 3-belt unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer who is widely considered by many to be top 3 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and Errol the Truth Spence Jr., who is now 28 wins, no loss and no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 32 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, Errol Spence is coming off of a very, very impressive 10th round stoppage performance against former WBA World Boxing Association's welterweight world champion Cuban star boxer Yordenis Ugas, which he broke his right orbital bone. Okay, so Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, they make up for the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, seeing as though Terence Crawford himself is 38 wins, no loss and no draw, 29 big wins by way of knockout. He is 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach at 34 years of age, okay? This has already been the biggest fight in the sport of boxing before Errol Spence beat Yordenis Ugas, okay? It was widely being highly anticipated for quite some time, but now it has just gotten even bigger, seeing as though now it's for undisputed. So Errol Spence, he took to social media. He's been calling out Terence Crawford. Immediately after the fight, he stated that, everybody knows the fight I want. They know who I'm looking for. I want to fight Terence Crawford. I want to take his belt. Then he said, Terence Crawford, I'm coming for your belt, right? That's what Errol Spence said immediately. His post-fight interview after, he beat Yordenis Ugas, okay? Well, then Errol Spence, he then took to social media the next day, okay? He said, he appreciate all the fans coming and showing up and holding him down. Then he put up this post, okay, with the big fish, as the Grim Reaper, right? And you can see all the belts are hanging on the door. First belt represents Kell Brook. Second belt represents Sean Porter. Third belt represents Yordenis Ugas. And as you can see on the door, it says TC, Terence Crawford. And the caption is, had some hiccups on the way, but you know what time it is. It's now, champ. Time to be legendary at Terence Bud Crawford, the biggest fish, the hashtag strap season. Okay. Then, he took the social media once again, right? Errol Spence did. And he put up this post, right? With him in a grocery store shopping for groceries. And you can see shopping for belts. There's the 3 belts is in the shopping cart. And you can see Kell Brook, Sean Porter, Yordenis Ugas. One box is not checked off, Terence Crawford, and it got the WBO strap in the shopping cart, as if he's gonna pick it up and he's gonna check off that box. You see him looking at the list, right? And he titled this one, "Line them up, I'ma knock them down." The biggest hashtag man down, hashtag strap season is go time, right? Sign the contract, champ. So, now he's, aggressively calling out Terence Crawford. So Terence Crawford has finally responded. Now, we know Terence Crawford has always have, at least recently we found out that he had some ill will towards Errol Spence's stablemate and close friend in 2-time junior middleweight world champion, who's currently the unified junior middleweight world champion, superstar boxer Jermell Charlo. And Jermell Charlo is going into a highly anticipated rematch undisputed showdown with Brian Castano May 14th, okay? And the first fight ended in a draw. So he's going into a second fight, okay, with Brian Castano. And we figured out and we started to hear that Terence Crawford doesn't have much favor for Jermell Charlo, and stated that if he can't get the fight with Errol Spence, he was going to go up and beat Jermell Charlo. So Terence Crawford, he then responds to Errol Spence and Errol Spence's call-outs, and he mentions and brings up Jermell Charlo in it as well, okay? He had this to say when it comes to Jermell Charlo, okay? He said, quote, I love this energy coming from you. And he put the clapping hand emojis, right? He said, keep it up. I'm going to smash you. Then I'm coming for your cheerleader in Jermell Charlo. That's if he can win his next fight. Wow. Right? So, he lets it be known that he doesn't favor Jermell Charlo. He doesn't like Jermell Charlo, okay? I actually talked to some people behind the scenes from Terence Crawford's team, and they let me know that he has more disdain for Jermell Charlo than he actually does for Errol Spence Jr., and he wants to beat Jermell Charlo even more than he wants to beat Errol Spence Jr. Now, he wants to beat Errol Spence Jr. He's motivated to beat Errol Spence Jr., but he definitely wants to get at Jermell Charlo, who is 34 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 18 wins by way of knockout. He'll be 32 years of age next month. He's currently 31, 5'11", with a 73-inch arm reach. Again, he's facing Brian Castano May 14th, okay, next month, about a month out to be exact. Brian Castano is 17 wins, no losses, 2 draws, 12 wins by way of knockout, 32 years of age, 5'7.5" with a 67.5-inch arm reach, okay? So he wants Jermell Charlo to win that fight, and he wants to go up and he wants to fight Jermell Charlo, okay? So he's letting it be known he has he doesn't like Jermell Charlo at all whatsoever. Okay, he doesn't fancy Jermell Charlo, so he's letting it be known. He already let it be known that if he can't secure the fight with Errol Spence, and if Errol Spence had lost to Yordenis Ugas, he was going up and he wants to make himself the mandatory. And seeing as though he's the WBO, World Boxing Organization's title holder, the way they operate is that when he move up in weight, he'll automatically be the mandatory challenger for that belt. And he'll push for to be the mandatory for Jermell Charlo should Jermell Charlo win. And then he pokes at Jermell Charlo and he says, if you can win that fight. Now, it ended in a draw. It was a lot of nip and tuck, a lot of going back and forth. I personally thought that, it was a very close fight. I thought that Jermell Charlo could have did a lot different to make sure he secured a victory. I think he will do something a lot different to secure this victory against Brian Castano. Brian Castano is much smaller than he is. Jermell Charlo is the better athlete, more physical athlete. I think he made a lot of mistakes in allowing himself to be backed up to the ropes and allowing Brian Castano to have his most success. His only way he could only have success is when you back yourself up to the ropes. So with that said, I believe that, he'll make the adjustment. When the fight was in the center of the ring, he clearly was the winner. Okay, he was beating Brian Castano. It wasn't competitive in the center of the ring. It was only competitive when he allowed his back to be on the ropes. But you got to attest to Brian Castano, give him credit for backing him up and strategically making Jermell Charlo back up and catching him on the ropes. So Terence Crawford, he lets it be known. So the promotion for this is out of this world. Again, this is already the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, and it just has gotten even bigger, okay? It has marinated perfectly, okay? Now, unforeseen chain of events that took place to back this fight up, seeing as though Errol Spence, after he unified the belts against Sean Porter in 2019, he suffered a horrific car accident. Then we had the global pandemic. Then he suffered a broken detached retina. But in that time frame, even in that time frame, Terence Crawford is not very active as well, okay? He has not fought many times as well, okay? He's been very relatively inactive. He wasn't happy with his promotional company, legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO and promoter Bob Arum, okay? He wasn't happy that they didn't secure the wins in the fights that he wanted. So he fought twice in 2019. He fought Amir Khan in April of 2019, Igor Kavalauskas in December of 2019. But he fought once in 2020 against Kell Brook and once in 2021. So we are now in 2022. In a 4-year span, he's only fought 4 times. Okay, so Terence Crawford is not very active. And he'll be 35 by the time this fight comes to fruition. Terence Crawford has the ability to switch from southpaw to orthodox fluidly. Terence Crawford has power in both hands. He has knocked out or stopped his last 10 opponents. So that's very impressive, okay? And so with that said, this was already, again, the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. And now it has gotten even bigger, okay? Because it's for undisputed. The last time we had a fight of this magnitude with everything on the line, 2 undefeated fighters, was back in 1981 when Sugar Ray Leonard faced off against Tommy Hitman Hearns for Undisputed. And here we have Tommy Hearns versus Sugar Ray Leonard 2.0 and Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.